All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell, and for the next 2 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. The X Zone is a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight, right here on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. If you'd like to send me an email, the email address is very simple, xzone@classic1220.ca. X-Zone Nation, my guest tonight is Dr. Richard Allen Miller, and he has a long and extensive resume in the fields of physics, metaphysics, and agriculture. He's worked with NASA. He's worked with the Naval Office of Science, I believe. Right, Rich? Richard?
What's that? Oh, yeah. Here's Johnny.
Yeah, here's Johnny. Well, in this case, here's Richard. Richard, I was just talking to the X Zone Nation about some of the things that you've done, and you are the real-life character that the X-Files Fox Mulder was based on. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah. Bernard Shercliffe was editor of Time Warner and Mad Magazine, like my tooth. Dentistry's broken, by the way. When he left New York and retired, he moved out to Merlin, Oregon, which is next door to Grants Pass, and we chanced to run into each other, and he came out of retirement and taught me how to write a screenplay, a workup. And he took that workup to Fox, and Fox said, it's too many characters. We don't think this is going to do very well. Can he trim it down to 2 people, please? And I did. And that I did the first 8 episodes of X-Files. And then, because it was a success, they wanted me to move to Hollywood. Now, I know what I don't want to do. That's what I've been discovering. I mean, I did cocaine at one time, and I did swinging one time, and I know I don't want to do that ever again. And that's what Hollywood's about. It's crazy. And so they brought Carter in and used me on set for the next 9 years as the expert on what a forensic lab might look like for TV. And because everything changed right then from our being able to space race and who gets to the moon first and he's on second, sorry. And then basically we were more interested in the space race than we were aliens. We knew about aliens back then, Roswell, that kind of thing with Harry Truman. But I ended up doing, under Richard Nixon, I was the last scientist with MJ-12 in 1979 when I was still Northwest Regional Director of MRU. When Schleicher died, Robert Stone took over, and I don't know him. And when he died, it was bought by Andy Simone and moved up to Toronto. Now, I don't know what Andy is or is not. He might be CIA. He's a nice person. I like him. And he's asked me to help him possibly bring it back into what it used to be. And I'm going to help him if I can. I work with enemies. I work with friends. I'm making discoveries that I have been watched for a very long time as a person of interest. And the only reason I'm probably still alive, not being tagged with plutonium or whatever, is that I know something I don't, and I'm still considered an asset. And that's about all I can say about that, other than the last show we did, I talked about the diamond body, and I forgot to imply something. It's going to be coming out in a new field theory I'm writing with two Russians that will supersede my holographic universe by 53 years. Basically, wormholes are a form of bilocation, not astral projection or the astral body with remote viewing and that kind of thing. It's quite different. And bilocation is when you use something closer to reality than consciousness, which is like lucid dreaming or daydreaming. Daydreaming turns out to be, has more content to reality than consciousness does. And if you don't believe that, think about, I wouldn't have seen it if I hadn't have believed it. It's kind of like, it's limited to your thoughts that are not instinct from the gut. In fact, there's some new studies coming out now saying that that's what the neurotransmitters will actually limit access to your gut thought, which is instinct, and that's ESP, or like that. There's other forms of psychism that is not extrasensory perception, and I was going to talk about one of those a little later today if you want to remind me, because I'm circular and I'll forget what I was talking about, etc. But what I was going to try to say is the consciousness is a dream state that you are currently enjoying. I'll call it Nightmare on Elm Street. And when all the different things you coulda, shoulda, woulda done today that you did not, like you didn't have me on the show today, for example, in another universe, all of those universes happened. That's probably why a lot of the original Bibles say that we were God's favorite choice. And the choices happened, and basically, if you want to see it accurately, we're probably sugar ants in Gaia's kitchen, because better living through chemistry with DuPont over packaging everything with plastic now in everything. Can you imagine what that life form must think about us and what we're doing to our oceans and our atmosphere and, and all the things going extinct because of our unawareness of what we're doing? And I don't know where this is all going to go, but bilocation is my next goal, is to try to unite more than one other place. If I could, like I gave Navy SEALs, a SEAL program, 8 altered states, and it made them super soldiers. I mean, they were able to do things normal soldiers couldn't. And it wasn't that they were trained. They were using altered states as tools in the toolbox, not for recreation or escape. One of them is like changing your perception of time with breath control. Now you can take your martial arts to a paranormal level with precision that normal consciousness couldn't even come close to. And the example I always use, because people get it, once you see it in your mind's eye, that's actually what makes it real. Basically, when I watched a woman rip a car door off in a flaming automobile to save her daughter. I mean, she just did it. And that's impossible. The adrenaline did not make her muscle and bone stronger than steel. How can she do that? Well, one model, the one I'm writing right now, it'll last maybe 2 or 3 years, and then I'll have something better, probably, is that's her from a different universe where the laws of physics are different. And when you look at altered states like that, how many altered states do you think I've been in just since we came on radio?
I have no idea, Rich.
but the way I can subcategorize them now in terms of Gowan and ontologies of mystical states, I would say I was in about 4 different altered states.
Wow.
They're subtle and different, but each one is you from a different universe. And your dream that you're currently enjoying is this one where you had me on your show and I screwed everybody up with bad ideas, whatever. And you know, that's basically the way I'm going to see this thing. And what I'm going to try to do is say, what would happen if you had access to 400 altered states of consciousness, realizing that seals only had 8?
400 states of altered reality.
Yeah, when you use them this way, I'm going to be firm with you, and I'm going to be soft over here, and I'm going to over there. I'm going to, you know,
right.
Yeah, where you used it as a tool.
Now that's really interesting, Rich.
Yes, it is. And
so
that
Rich,
is where my new field theory is going to go regarding resonant cavity oscillators, the diamond body, and the fact that Saturn has the same geometry means, 1, our solar system is a life form, and 2, I have no idea where that wormhole goes. However, we could say, oh, it's got limited seating for only 144,000. All aboard?
So, Rich, are you saying that what we live in now, that what we call reality, is basically a holographic?
Well, holographic concept superseded quantum mechanics, because when you take an analog system and convert it into digital,
right,
you have an uncertainty principle. It means that more you know about one thing, you don't know the other, and that means you can't get there from here. Physics is not what you think it is. It always starts with an assumed truth. Is the Earth round or flat? And the correct answer is yes. That's how limited our concept of space is, like time. That's why I went from astrology to astronomy, and is now about to be called cosmobiology, based on Ostrander and Schroeder's works and Janov out of Yugoslavia, 1974. He predicted accurately that when a woman is born, an engram set on her DNA on when she ovulates. And because the moon is so close, if she moves on Earth, that ovulation cycle changes.
All right, Richard, I hate to do this, but I've got to take my first break. Please stand by. Exo Nation, our guest this hour is Dr. Richard Alan Miller, and his website is richardallenmiller.com, and we'll both be back on the other side of this break as we continue our conversation with the good doctor, because the doctor is now in house in this reality and many others. And he's right here with us now in this reality called the X Zone, coming to you on our broadcast center here in St. Catharines at, you ready for this? Classic 1220, and streamed at classic1220.ca. And welcome back, everyone. Dr. Richard Alan Miller is our special guest. His website is... You ready? Got your pens and paper set? You sure do, don't you? Okay, because you want to visit this guy's website after the show. richardallenmiller.com is the website. Rich, just to go off a little track here for a sec, with the new lunar missions that are going and the new private company that landed a vehicle on the moon, how is this going to affect the space race within the United States?
What space race? We're already been in space a long time, and we can't be in space very long. What's that mean? Well, we only have 2 rings in our DNA. Neanderthal had 3 rings. That allowed him to be in normal space as we understand it. With the reason that Canaveral has these weird countdowns, 5, 4, okay, is before they ignite that rocket, they have to punch a hole in the ionosphere, or you have a Challenger experiment blow up. Page 2. Ed Mitchell just going through that hole and around the moon without even getting anywhere in space, really, just to the moon and back. He never will have children again. He's lost a minimum 10 years on his life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There is no shielding for certain kinds of elementary particles like neutrinos that just, I mean, we don't have anything that will shield that. Nothing would make Mars. Not human, not rabbits, not dogs. That's why the space race was not real at first when Buzz and some of the other ones did their thing, because it was about politics and who got there first. Aliens, there was, in terms of Roswell, when that crash occurred, it wasn't actually in Roswell either, by the way. That's what they say. There were 2 dead aliens, a dying alien, and when the dying alien died, they did an autopsy, and a 4th alien appeared wanting the bodies because they can apparently resurrect them. I don't know what that means exactly, other than that might be a golem or something. I don't know. I wrote a screenplay called Homo Mutant, Homo Lumen, the next evolution in man, where he's a light body, and he needs a golem to come down to Earth and be normal. That's a pretty interesting screenplay. It's about the Van Allen belt collapsing, and with it, everything on Earth no longer exists, life forms. And what he is the last days of man and the savior. And maybe Saturn is the life form that is about to evolve into something else. On Earth, for example, it's not physical plane. We think Earth is real, but when I flew over, one of the studies I did under Schleicher was that I flew a PBY over the Oregon vortex at 15,000 feet with an interferometer. What bends light at 15,000 feet? It's a mini black hole. And I'm going to guess that the Bermuda Triangle and the ley lines are a series of mini black holes in a specific geometry, because the new direction in the definition of space is going to be cosmobiology, which is the geometric relationship of celestial bodies. Now I'd like to add to that comment the next concept. For the last, every 12,000 years, regular, we have a magnetic pole shift, and nothing of man survives. Man does, a few of us, that turn into, zombies or whatever, but nothing written. And so I had to use geology and looking at soil to see what actually happens every 12,000 years. And I went back 5 epochs, and my study said there was a 3 sigma error coefficient, which meant it's a 99.9975% probability of it happening. And the wiggle room on that would be 200 years. Now, in other words, it's due any moment. And there's a new kind of psychism out there called billet reading. Giving you an example, the studies I included under Schleicher was Keith Milton Reinhardt of the Aquarian Foundation, Jack Schwartz, Alethea Foundation, and Uri Geller, working out of SRI. And I busted Geller. I found him cheating. Now, he actually could do phenomena, but not on call. And he had a bunch of wealthy women running around, oh, break my watch, bend my spoon. And, he acquiesced and started cheating, and I caught him. And that's why Andrea left. He was my teacher, and I didn't mean to do that, but Geller was not being honest, and that was the problem. The Kalugina that was moving things in Russia with her hands, and things that start moving, she had a magnet under her lap. Get a grip. It was easy to push those kinds of things. Psychism is different than ESP. Jack Schwartz came into one of my classes. I had 102 students at the University of Washington, And he did a billet reading for every one of them. And he only missed 2 out of 102 people.
All right, Rich, for our listeners who may not know what a billet is, can you explain it?
I'm going to do that right now.
Okay.
Yeah. A billet reading is when I write on a piece of paper, prove to me you're not reading my mind. And I stick it in my pocket and I don't tell him what the question is. And he said to me, when it came my turn, in my mother's bedroom, there's a hope chest at the front of her bed. And at the bottom of that hope chest is a letter that was written 2 days before you were born. Boom. What? How did they do that? What is that? Dang, what is that? Live from New York. Well, so what I did, there is a group of very credible people. Their predictions like that as a billet reading is phenomenal. I mean, how do they do that? And they just recently said the AI on Mars that has been controlling our solar system for 2 billion years just got turned off.
Wait a sec, hold on.
What's that?
So let me see if I understand what you just said. The artificial intelligence that has been
remained on Mars after that life form that was on Mars had a war with something,
right,
and then went moved to Earth. Yeah, for 2 billion years.
2 billion years. Now, before we go any further, Dr. John Brandenburg has been on the show a number of times, just like you. And last time he was on, he was talking about a thermonuclear war that they found evidence that happened on Mars millions of years ago.
Bill. I have no idea what it all means yet.
No way.
I was there in a remote, a bilocation situation with 12 NASA scientists, and what we found in the caverns were more water on Mars as a smaller planet than Earth, where Earth's water is mostly underground.
Now, you've probably got a lot of people scratching their heads right now saying, did Dr. Miller say that he was actually on Mars with 12 NASA scientists?
That means
biolocation.
It's not like remote viewing, and it's not like astral projection. It's more like what Paul Twitchell or Eckankar might have predicted with Satmat, soul travel.
Wow.
Where you connect, you go back home. Basically, what you're doing is hooking up with some of your inner entities that are you in different universes. That's what your inner dialogue's about. Why you keep a record, so you start your inner dialogue with yourself. And training the mind is why all your saints in history have stressed the importance of meditation. Using it as a tool, not an absolute.
So let me ask you this, Richard. If this communication is available through all the different dimensional universes that there are out there, why do we need to communicate the way we do? Why do we have to exist the way we do? Is this a choice that we have?
Because we're in a petri dish. Get a grip, man. You don't have free will. You have true will, but you don't have full disclosure. You don't have a clue what's going on. I know I don't. And the bad news is you can't get there from here, and you probably never will, because the matrix is real. Time isn't real. So what's that mean to past lives?
I have no idea at this point.
I do. Past lives have to do with alternate universes again, but messed up with time being an illusion. And that's how bad your dream is. Wakey, wakey. Oh, that's Crocodile Dundee, sorry.
So are you saying, Richard, that this existence that we're in is basically a dream?
Yes. I can prove that part, yes.
How do you prove it, my friend?
Part, yes.
How do you prove it?
Well, let's see. What do you think death is?
The end of life as we know it.
Exactly. The dream folds and you go back home. And with you, there's 5 grams of weight loss. What do you think that is?
The soul, your essence.
Well, that's a Christian concept. The stag and the unicorn in the forest go. Soul and spirit within matter. Mm-hmm. But that's a Christian concept, much newer. All of these things happened before 12,000 years. And every 12,000 years, there's a recycle in the petri dish, except this time. And so the military contacted me, and they said, "Okay, Miller, if what would be the switch?" And I said, "Well, think about Betelgeuse is a little star in space, and it gets blocked by an asteroid Nibiru for 4 days. The geometric relationship of celestial bodies sounds to me like that's your switch. The probability of that occurring so precisely is billions and billions and billions to one." You got me?
I think I do.
Yeah, well, think of a dot out there as Betelgeuse, and then something just happens to be outside the solar system, blocking the view of Betelgeuse, of all the different heavens, all in different directions you can look. It's pretty far-fetched, and yet it happened.
All right, you stand by. We've got to take another break here. Exonation, our guest this hour is Dr. Richard Allen Miller. His website is richardallenmiller.com, and the good doctor and I will return on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streaming around the world on classic1220.ca. I'm Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
A different drum. Or can't you tell by the way I run? Every time you make eyes at me, whoa, you cry and moan and say it will work out. Everybody loves a clown, so why don't you? Everybody laughs at the things that I say and do. They all laugh when they see me coming, but you don't laugh, you just go on running. Everybody loves a clown, so why can't you? A clown has feelings too. I joke around at a party when you are there.
Welcome back, everyone. My guest this hour is Dr. Richard Allen Miller, who is a physicist, and Dr. Richard Allen Miller is a pioneer in the annals of metaphysical and paranormal exploration. He began working in the X-Files world of the Navy Intel, SEALs Corps, and then MRU. In the late 60s, his public collaboration and research continues. As an original Black Ops team member, Miller's research in the field of paranormal began as a graduate physicist working 11 years with the Navy Intel. And during that period, let me see, during that period, he graduated as a physicist and began numerous foundation papers, including a holographic concept of reality and the embryonic holography, were written in his past and current writings and presentations. He reveals a knowledge of practical experience in three major fields: alternative, agriculture, New Age physics, and metaphysics. Joining me now again is the good Dr. Richard Miller. And Richard, like I was telling you, every time after you're on the air with me, I have to sit back and kind of figure out where the hell I am.
Medic, code blue. We got another one down over here. Medic. Yeah, I know. That's my intent, is to leave things better than I found them. And what I enjoy most is opening windows or doors that would not have otherwise been open for you. The possibilities of what's going on.
Richard, with all your experience and all that you've done for the government in the private sector, why do we have to put up with what we do in this world of ours? Why are there wars? Why is there famine? Why is why, if we have all this knowledge at our fingertips, why don't we use it to better humanity?
Well, that's because in the tree of life, there's only one place where knowledge is wisdom.
Where's
That's
that?
in the Sea of Karanzan. And that's after Christ consciousness in a little dotted thing called Doth. And that's the only place. It's a temporary place. Knowledge is illusion, according to Castaneda. And there were 4 enemies. There was fear. When you overcame fear, you had personal power.
Mm-hmm.
Power became an enemy. That's the current one you enjoy with all your politics and crap going on. And then, as you get older, you start seeing things more clearly. That becomes a limitation. And then, of course, the one I'm enjoying right now is old age. I'm 80.
But Richard, once again, to me it makes no sense that with everything that we know, past, present, and future in the multi-dimensional universes that apparently exist, why we can't formulate a winning solution to one of them and get it right so that...
I got that answer easy. How did Johnny Depp do it as Tonto? What do you mean, we, white man? Just kidding. I don't know. Basically, we've been programmed from early age. When I came to the United States, I was in 3rd grade, and there it is. Hey, kids, what time is it?
Howdy doody time, yeah.
Yeah, see, you're almost as old as I am. I'm 80. I'll be 80 in March.
Oh.
And I try to keep myself healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I went from 245. I'm down to 201 right now. My cholesterol's went from 150 down to 50.
Good for you.
Yeah. Well, not good for me. I decided I have a lot of things to do before I turn into a worm casing. I like to finish projects I started, and I have all these manuscripts that I haven't finished. And I've got some new ones, and a bunch of them coming out this year. And like the brain spa. Mm-hmm. Nick Begich brought me up to Chickalone years ago because he wanted to co-author a book with me called The Brain Spa. Now, it's alternative medicine. And we laid out a whole map of different possibilities, biofeedback, drugs, whatever. And what happened was Nick realized, I can't do this. I don't have the technical background. And so I ended up writing power tools, one from each of those sections, which were the 8 protocols I gave SEAL. Now, I have a new doctor that has joined my team, Scotty. He's Dr. Scott Adam back in Alabama, that is a medical doctor working in alternatives. And I've asked him to co-author this book with me because I've got other, I got about 40 manuscripts I haven't finished yet. Look at how many things I've already written. And each one, okay, the one you asked about, the question, is chapter 8 in the non-local mind. It's titled The Mind's Eye, or Imagination is Reality. Anything you could possibly imagine is not only real, it's even more than that. That's a dream state. There will never be a theory of everything. It doesn't work like that. Everything begins with an assumed truth. Shortest distance between 2 points in the Earth's round. But if space is curved, I can prove with tensor math it's flat. Which one is it? And the correct answer is yes. Because if you look at it this way, you have all these doors to go through.
Mm-hmm.
You look at it flat, then you have just these doors to go through. However, if you're able to look at both, using your mind as a tool, you have access to all the doors. And that is ultimately where we want to go, is being able to see. Physics is kind of like Simon says you can go halfway to the door. You can get close, but you'll never get that cigar.
Why not?
Because physics isn't any more real. It starts with the limitation of your ability to imagine and assume truth.
So, if basically...
That's right.
Can we,
That's a dream state.
Yeah, hold on here, Rich. So basically, can we manifest the impossible just by believing we can do it because we're in a dream state?
Bongo, this guy, you have Bongo. Yeah, yeah, that's correct. I'm creating my own nightmares. Yeah, that's a very good way to, I wouldn't have seen it if I hadn't have believed it.
So where do we go?
That means,
I'm sorry.
Well, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
No, I was just going to ask you where we go from here if we believe that what we believe to be reality is a dream state.
Well, let's try this one.
Okay.
How about pharmacy saying with a law in Congress down here in the United States that if a pharmaceutical house changes your DNA, they own you like a pig or a cow? That was passed in 2015. Nobody knows about that. Newsflash. And now Microsoft is doing the same thing with the iCloud. Who owns intellectual property in the iCloud? Page 3 on that. And robots, AI, artificial intelligence, not artificial consciousness. That's a different subject. Artificial intelligence has no accountability like Amazon does. When Amazon publishes some of your works, they're breaking the law. But when an AI does it, they have free exempt status. Now, even Isaac Asimov wrote iRobot had rules of engagement. No wonder we're going to have it. We're already, what do you think is going to happen when hackers get a hold of AI?
Oh, it's good.
People that want to cause trouble.
Well, listen, there was a lawyer that I read about who lost a case because the case studies or the case precedents that he used in the courtroom, he got from AI and it was wrong.
Yeah, AIs are as good as the programmer.
Exactly.
When you start working with D-Wave technology, that's creepy.
You know, speaking about robots and AI, my wife and I took my wife out for dinner the other day. We went to the Mandarin restaurant in Niagara Falls, and it's a beautiful buffet restaurant. And what they have is that when you come in, they take your name, they put a slip in the back of a robot, and the robot takes you to the first available seat.
Quickly. Leave quickly. Oh, no.
I'm saying, what the heck? And then we see the robot taking orders out to the takeout counter.
Yeah, and what they're doing in education is a crime. Even when it was good, I used to say, why would we want to send our children to school to become us? You know, this is, anyway, that's another subject I'm very hot on. I think children are probably our single most important natural resource.
Oh, I agree with you 100%, Rich.
Well, then what's going on with education? And homeschooling isn't going to work because the reason I was gifted, the reason my mother sent me to normal daytime school is that I could talk to people like you rather than be gifted and not even be able to understand you. You couldn't understand me. I've met those people.
Yeah. You know what, Rich? I'm glad that you and I are the same age because we share the same values.
Old school, yeah.
Yeah, like, for one thing, you respect your parents, you respect the law, you respect your school teachers. Like today, you're not going to school to get taught by a teacher. You're going to school to be with your friends. And you call the teacher by his first name. There's no respect. There's no structure.
To put a broom between your legs and pretend it's a horsey.
Exactly.
Sounds like a dildo. But I can tell you that's they're what is that called? Critical mass, temporary insanity, and emancipation. That's how it works. I've been through it, man. I've got great grandchildren now. Can't get a kidder. I can tell you that it's getting real bad, and it's being done with intent, and I can't tell you why, except that it's easier to control a number of people than everyone. There's too many people on Earth, blah blah blah. What do you think China's going to do? And Trudeau, your prime minister, good God, he's trying to put people like me asleep because I'm no longer productive.
Don't get me going on politics. That'll be for you and I on an off-air conversation one day, Rich. All right, Rich, stand by, buddy. We've got to take our final break for this hour. Exo Nation, my guest this hour is Dr. Richard Allen Miller. And if you'd like to find out more about my guest and my good friend Dr. Miller, please go to his website, richardallenmiller.com. And we'll both be back on the other side of this break as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. We are listening to us on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca.
Everybody laughs at the things that I say and do. They all laugh when they see me coming, but you don't laugh, you just go on running. Everybody.
If you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell. Just like an old-time movie about a ghost from a wishing well. In a castle dark or a fortress strong with chains upon my feet, you know that ghost is me. And I will never be set free as long as I'm a ghost you can't see.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell. We come to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed on classic1220.ca. Dr. Richard Allen Miller is my guest. His website is richardallenmiller.com. Rich, we were talking before we went to the commercial break, about the school system, and I think the schools are doing more harm than good, and because you don't teach the children anything. They have the iPhone, they have the iPads, and they have all the electronic.
You know that brain cells in a child
Yeah.
are different than an adult, and I've got pictures of what a cell phone up next to a child's head looks like with an MRI.
It's dangerous.
Creepy.
It
Oh,
is.
yeah, they're very toxic.
And I don't understand why more parents do not understand the dangers, not only the physical harm it does, but also the sociological damage that using these electronic pieces of equipment like the cell phone, the iPads, the laptops.
Everything's quick.
Yeah.
Impersonal. There used to be darshan, eyeball to eyeball, where you could see the person's
Yep.
body language, smell them, etc. By the way, I wanted to mention that music you played earlier it has sevenths in it. You don't know that. Most people don't. I don't hear music. I see it. I'm gifted. I have a eidetic memory, and I see music, and that has a bunch of sevenths. Do you know what a seventh is? It's an off chord. It's something like out of the cartoon of that girl that dated Joker. I forget her. They've got some TV shows on her or something like that. She's part of the group of characters that they're now doing for comic books and so on. But that music is like slightly off. That's what makes it so interesting. Why you like that is just a slight edge on that. There used to be someone up in Canada. I'm trying to think of their name now. Is the band? No, wasn't the band. I can't remember what it was. Out of Winnipeg.
The Guess Who. The Guess
that?
Who with Burton Cummings.
Who's that?
The Guess Who. That's the name of the band.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That. Yes, the Guess
You're
Who.
welcome.
That group was exceptional. Now, the reason I know that is I used to drum for Steve Miller. He was my cousin until I went to college, and then he went out and got a real drummer. And one of the women I dated in high school was Nancy Hart and the Hart Sisters. And then, of course, when I got back to New York, I got to check out Joan Jett. There's a character for you, man. Andy Warhol. I interviewed. I was writing for Rolling Stone, and I did an interview on Genesis. P. Archie. Do you know who he is? He started the rave movement in England, and they excommunicated him from England. He came to New York. Genesis. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to write for Rolling Stone, and I also worked at KMPX out of San Francisco. In 1969, I did underground music with introductions to, what is it? I forget it. Inagata Davida. Yeah, there it is.
Oh my gosh! With hold on here. What the hell is his name?
Radio is wonderful. I enjoy radio. It's not like it used to be,
Mm-hmm.
and yet it's better in some ways. They had Jackie Gleason, and they had who were some of the others?
Oh, Jack Benny, Jackie
Yeah,
Gleason.
but talking about radio,
Oh.
that was before Johnny Carson. It was I forget. There were two of them, and they were really, really good, and their comedy
Mm-hmm.
was different.
Well, I think that radio expands the mind, because when you're listening to a radio show or you're listening to theater on the radio, you're the director, you're the producer, you're the wardrobe director. You can listen to that show and have it run in your mind as if it's a movie. You control
When I
it.
did it, I would do something like this. This next is an introduction, leaving no left stones in. Oh, I forgot. It's an introduction to the Rolling Stones. And I slide into the music. Everybody crossed their eyes and scrambled. That's called pig lipping. And when you pig lip somebody, it's a form of NLP.
Mm-hmm.
Their brain crosses for 1 second. During that second, you can slip a command, and then they never hear it, but they'll do it. That was a technique I taught at SEALs, misdirection.
With all the Bluetooth and all the microwave and all the cell towers,
Yeah, everything's got dosimetry. There's a book on my website that you can download based on Dr. Beale's work, and he did LD50 ratios on every single organ in the body in terms of bandwidth. Everything has has toxicity, levels of it, and even in sound. They have different kinds of sound. They're called brown sound now. It came out of synthetic telepathy. And brown sound is different than red sound, or that's the same one, but there's different kinds. Like you hear the ocean, that's a different kind of sound. And that is what they play in the background to program you when they walking through the airports in San Francisco, or down in the tunnel, and it says, keep walking, keep walking, keep walking, keep walking. And you fall into a trance. And all of these things are programming us day and night, constantly. And I have brain drivers on my website that used to be 90, and I dropped them to 40. And yet, the only other place you can get them is like the Neurophone for $600. And what it does, it's based on the Gateway Project that I worked with Monroe when he was still at Berkeley before he moved to the East Coast. And you can reprogram yourself. For example, who's more important, your daughter or your mother? And sometimes it's your daughter. There's a way of determining that. And then, if you want to make it your mother, how do you reprogram yourself to do that? Brain drivers will do that. There's 6 discs in the download, and in terms of all kinds of tools.
So basically, it reboots our system.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. And when you're going through bifurcation, which is your reboot, it is about 2 to 6 hours of hallucinations when your brain is resetting itself from what you're doing is putting 40 cycle in one ear and 48 in the other, and you're driving your brain down. That's why they call it brain drivers, down to 8 cycle. And that's mid theta. And I can tell you, there are techniques that are going on that people don't even understand, like the kinds of music you play.
Right.
They have secret things going on that you can't hear, like synthetic telepathy. Imagine hearing voices in your head, but they were whispering. So you're not sure if it's just a voice in your head that's being put there or it's your thought.
I just want to let you know that you were talking about the Garden of Eden. Mike Panera used to come on the show many times about 10, 15 years ago. And man, this guy had tales to tell us about the music industry, as well as subliminal information that was being put in to some music, as well as audio
Oh,
tracks.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, of course. Why would they not? It's like a dog licking its balls. Why does it do that? Because it can.
right.
That's the deal. Nothing, technology isn't positive or negative. It's neutral. It's its application. And
Yeah.
I was figuring things out, and 10 years later, military is making them into weapons first. Synthetic telepathy was how I thought Crow was speaking to me. She wasn't.
Right.
I don't know how she did that. It's emotional. It's not emotions like you and I express, something much deeper, but their language, 20 minutes of is like a lifetime of words.
Let me ask you this, Richard. Based on your experience, is it possible while people are using the internet, they are actually being hypnotized?
Oh, sure. Yeah, everybody's in a light state of hypnosis right out of the gate. It's the level of it where you do your action and where you're going with it. And when I did my studies on ESP and hypnosis in 71 at Mission Control, both of those were pseudosciences. And hypnosis is a very powerful tool now for controlling pain. And ESP is instinct, thinking with the gut. Now, there's other psychisms out there that I'm now discovering that have nothing to do with ESP or instinct. It's something else. And I'm not sure what that is yet, because these women are really credible. And they just said that AI, which what that means is we may not have an epoch this time, a pole shift like we thought we would. And that is very interesting, that we would also just now discover that Saturn has the same wormhole concept, geometry. I don't know what it all means. Stay tuned, film at 11. Same bat channel, same bat time.
Richard, I've got about 2 minutes left. What are your final thoughts for the X Zone Nation? What would you like to say in the next minute?
Buy my books, I'm starving. It's my only source of income, and they are really putting the screws on me not to write.
Why?
I don't know.
Because you're telling the truth?
No, because I probably know something. Truth is relative. No, it's not that I know something I don't know. I was part of that majestic, I don't know. Is it that? Maybe I know something I'm not supposed to disclose. If I had been given, I'm a team player. If they had come to me and said, we're concerned about you talking about this because it'll blah, 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 I would have probably acquiesced and done that. The fact that they didn't, that's different.
Richard, as always, it's great talking to you. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us here on the X Zone. And as you know, the door is always open for you, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, it's enjoyable too. Thank you.
Take care of
I
yourself.
miss Winnipeg, and I miss all of you. That part of Canada. It's beautiful up there.
Yeah, we're very proud of our country here. So you take care of yourself, Rich, and stay out of trouble.
Why? It's more fun to cause trouble than to avoid it.
All right, Richard Allen Miller has
I'm
been
just
my
kidding.
guest this hour, X Zone Nation. And please visit his website, richardallenmiller.com. Wow, what can I say after that hour? I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone with hour number 2 tonight, as we come to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on your hometown radio 1220 and streaming at classic1220.ca.
Chains upon my feet,